What's up everyone? In this video I'll be explaining how to solve the second problem on Leetcode, which is adding two numbers. Well, in this problem we have two linked lists that each represent a number. Now, the linked list we have, they kind of have the numbers backwards, which is actually super helpful, and you'll see why. So let's read the description of the problem. So, this is the second problem in Leetcode. You are given two non-empty linked lists, representing two non-negative integers. The digits are sorted in reverse order, right here, and each of their nodes contains a single digit. Add the two numbers and return the sum as a linked list. Now, you may assume the two numbers do not contain any leading zeros except the number 0 itself. Makes sense. So, the reason it says they're in reverse order because, well, this number is actually 342. But it's stored backwards, so it's 243. I say this is super helpful because when we add the numbers, we usually start, if we have 342, we usually start from the 2. And if we have a linked list, we know that we can start at the node, one node, and then we can basically only move forward because this is a single linked list. And we can't really go backwards, so because of that, this is very helpful. This is like, we can just go through the linked list in order and add the numbers. And we can see an example of that. So we have this linked list that has the numbers 243, which is 342 right here, and the second list which has the numbers 564, and it's again backwards, so it's 465, and we just add them. And also we should return the list that we return should be backwards as well, basically. Just like here, it's 807, it should be 708. And this is the other example. If they're both zeros, you just return a 0. This is another example right here. And basically, to solve this problem, there are multiple ways. And there are some incorrect ones. When I first saw this problem, my brute force solution was just to basically go through the list, make a string, and then turn that string into an integer or a long and add them together. Now that didn't work for me, at least in Java, because the lists, as you can see here, they can be in the range of 1 in 100, so the number can be pretty big, and it can't fit in an integer or a long if you're using Java. And you have to come up with something else. So that left me with only like one other solution, the one I'll be implementing. I think there are more solutions to that, which I'll talk about another one that is more efficient after. But what the solution I'll be implementing is basically we make a new linked list and just go through both lists simultaneously and add the numbers of each. Then we store the value of that addition in the newly created list and move to the next number. We also have to keep track of the carrying a number when moving forward, because we can add two numbers and the addition can be more than 10. So we have to carry a number basically when we move forward, when we do the next addition. And in this solution, complexity, time complexity is O of n, but also the space complexity will be O of n as well, because we store the numbers in a new list. Now, and where n is basically the length of the larger list, because that's the furthest we go. In case the lists they have the same length, then O of n could be either one. But let's look actually at the code implementation, and then we'll see how that works. So first, we have to make a new list. So to make the new list, we need basically to have two references to the head of that list. The first one we just keep it there, so we return it at the end. The second one we have is going to keep moving forward. So like we have a list, we have a reference to the head of that list, and then we have another, basically a temporary node that's going to keep changing. So we keep adding new nodes to that list. So let's do that. So we make root node, let's say equals temp. Temp is going to be always changing. We just make it 0. We just make a new list. Now we also have to keep track of the number being carried, and let's just call it carried equal to 0 for now. Now after this, we basically just do a while loop, and we go through. As long as either one of the lists has more nodes, we just keep going. If they both have nodes, perfect. We just keep going with both. But so we're going to do a while loop. So while L1 or L2 or carried. Now what this is saying is while L1, basically it's not null. When it's null, this is false. So while this is true, or this is true, or this is true, when carried is 0, this evaluates to false. So if this has a value, we keep going. If this has a value, we keep going. If L1 has a value, we keep going. Now, we need to store the values of L1 and L2. So let's do that. So let's say value 1 equals to value 2 equal to 0. Right? So now we check if we're at the end of either list. So we say if L1, then what I want to do is take the value of L1. So let's say value 1 equals to L1.val, right? And then we move L1. Now we do the exact same thing for L2. If L2, we do value 2 equal to L2.val. Then L2 equals to L2.next. Now what we do, we need to know if we're going to carry a number in that addition. And to do that, in Python, there's a method called divmod. And basically, I'll explain it right here. So carried value equals. So what divmod returns two numbers. It returns so basically it does division, and then it's going to return the remainder and the actual result of the division. So divmod. I'll explain. So we add value 1 plus value 2 plus carried, and then what we will have is 10. So what we're going to do here is we're going to add the value for the current node we're on of both lists. Now let's say the list was empty. This is going to be 1, they're going to be 0. We divide them by 10, and whatever the remainder of that division is going to go to carried. Whenever the actual value is, it's going to be in value, right? And basically now we need to store the new value in the new list. So what we do is temp equal to temp next equal to list node of value, and then temp equal to temp next. So we define the next node of temp to have the new value, the value of the division basically, and then we move it forward. So now we keep moving forward. That's why I said we have two nodes, because now when we're done with the loop, when the whole addition is done, we return root.next. The reason why we return root.next because the first node in root is actually just 0, and we don't want that, so we just go to the one after. And that's the whole solution. So let's submit. Great, it works. It's actually also pretty fast and uses very low memory. Now, although it works and it's efficient, it could be more efficient by saving space. And the way we do that is we use one of the lists that's already given to us. Now we already have two lists given to us, and there's nothing stopping us from just using one of them and returning that. Now, tricky part was, to me, I implemented that solution was picking the list that I want to use. So and the solution really is just that you find the longest one, the longest of the two lists. If they're equal, you just pick either one, and you basically just go through it while going through the other one, and you just add the values. And I will not be implementing this solution, but also I can provide the code if asked for, and you just do a while loop. It's basically very similar to this, and by going through both lists, but you just find the longer one and you use that longer one to be your answer. And you keep changing the values in that longer list, and that will be it. I hope this video helped you, and see you in the next one.